Hello there. This is going to be a picture of some blue trees in the system HIP 87621. This is a system which was previously permit locked. We we could buy the information about the system, but we couldn't go into it. And there was a big preamble, started middle of last year, where some exobiology student went missing, and there was a bit of a treasure trail to try and find her, a few beacons to read. She smuggles herself on a megaship passing through this system and then went missing for, well, until now. We've not got her back yet. There's a crash site in the system, which we can assume is probably her ship. There was a bit of a community goal back end of last year where we all went out and scanned some rocky and high metal content planets and brought back the information to weirdly Zach Rackham, who is an enormously wealthy playboy who took an interest in the mystery. The permit lot for the system turned out to be owned by the October Consortium, who are doing research. They're researching these plants. They look amazing, these plants do, and the way that they've created these sites, there's not that many of them, and they're really close to the star. They're on the first couple of planets in the system. Now, those planets didn't used to exist. They've shoved the system along and slotted a couple of planets in really close to the star. So they're super hot planets. And that's the essence of these planets. They are heat-tolerant plants. And actually, when you get out to scan these plants, it tends to breach your suit's thermal limit. That's how hot it is there. So you've got a limited amount of time before you get a little bit too hot and bothered to do this scanning. They've placed them on the planets so when you drop, they're always sort of at twilight. They look amazing. You get this wonderful sort of sunset effect, and then when you drop into the forest of these Radicoida Unica plants, you see the blue haze. They're really good at making these foggy environments. They did it with the spire sites, the Thargoid spire sites, and they've done it elsewhere too. This is blue and steamy and purple, and you get these vented hissing gas plumes that come up from the seed pods on the top of these plants. And you can see the seed pods there. They look peculiar. There's probably half a dozen on the top of each of these platforms. They look like a little bit like Fonticulua campestris. They're sort of mushroomy and flat on the top, and you've got all these twisty turny elements like the twisted roots at the spire sites and the matrix sites. They're really impressive and awe-inspiring. They did another community goal where we had to sort of take biological samples from these plants and hand them in so they could find out more information. Now they've realised that there's some sort of product that you can get from these superheat tolerant plants, and they're doing some testing. I strongly suspect it'll be used for like energy and endurability and stamina buffs for your commander on foot, which is really nice because it's a development to the on foot game. I think we may find it's simply heat resistant hull plating, but I think that what they're saying is that it has physiological effects, and also that these plants are slightly conscious, which is all quite fun. It reminds me a little bit of I've just been watching recently, I've been rewatching the old Philip Pullman Northern Lights TV series. I'd not watched it in years. I used to love the books, and there's a particular bit towards the end where you're in this environment with these great big trees, and they're slightly symbiotic, and I quite like that concept. But I hope they carry on down that avenue and it's not just a little bit of fun story and leads to some sort of story or activity in the game in the future. That would be cool. Only thing you don't tend to get is there's no real specific sound here. Most of the bios and certainly big sites have got some amazing sounds. The spire sites particularly, they just sound incredible. And they used to, I mean, I know that they had to lay off a bunch of staff a while back, so they probably don't have the capacity to offer all of that now, but they used to do some amazing things with the Thargoid swarms and the Thargoid scouts. I remember hearing them interviewed about how they each had their own input, the scouts did, to the battle environment. So the more of them there were, the more they would feed into this musical background. And I think that might have been quite nice. It would have given a lovely eerie quality if they'd done a bit of audio for these sites as well. That would have been good. But regardless of that, I really love the way that it's got that wonderful twilight steam. Like you can imagine it's the end of a very hot day, and those long kind of shadows and the peculiar seed pods that are open and punting out these plumes of spores. They're fab. They're a really fun sight to go and visit, even if you just wander around them. Anyway, thanks for listening. I think I might have gone on a bit there, but cheers. Bye.